Stadium on a gorgeous afternoon for football in the Sunshine State, and we have two Florida rivals, new, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hi, everybody. Dan Hicks along with Bob Golick. At one point, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 5-2 atop the NFC Central Division. They have now lost 3 straight, and really adding more controversy this week was who was going to start a quarterback. We know it will be Trent Dilfer, but Sam Weish will pull him if he doesn't get the job done.
Right. Well, Sam Weish has come out this week and said, hey, there's much to do about nothing. But he has proven that although the Trent Dilfer has started every game this year, he will not hesitate to pull him. He is a guy, a young guy they're hoping to develop for the future, but right now his numbers are the lowest in the NFC.
He only has 3 touchdown passes all season long, so that means Eric Rett will see plenty of time in the backfield for Tampa Bay.
Without a doubt, Eric Rett has been a savior for this team on the ground, and really has been a guy that has developed last week against the Lions, 144 yards. And in order for the Buccaneers to have a good day, he's going to have to keep the Jaguar defense on their heels to give Dilfer some time to throw the ball.
As for Jacksonville offense, it revolves around Mark Brunell, one of the more exciting quarterbacks in the league because he can run.
Without a doubt. Because they really haven't had a running back that has emerged to take the forefront in the run game, Brunell has taken it upon himself. Not only does he have good numbers in the passing game, but also as a runner. He is the leading rusher for the entire Jaguar team, and also is the leading rusher as for quarterbacks in the NFL. And because of that, the Buccaneers will have a spy defensive player on him all day long.
Well, there is Tom Coughlin. 18 months before Jacksonville kicked off its regular season, he knew he would be the coach. And there is Sam Weish. I don't know if you want to call him embattled, but the headlines in the paper today questioning Sam's status for the remainder of the season. And we're set for the kickoff. Jacksonville won the toss, and they will receive. And taken back in the end zone. Actually down in the end zone by Curtis Marsh, number 89. So Jacksonville will begin first down and 10 from its 20, and there is Mark Brunell averaging better than 7 yards a carry. Up front, Tony Baselli and Brian DeMarco are the rookies. Baselli out of USC and DeMarco out of Michigan State. It is a huge offensive line. Vaughn Dunbar has taken over the featured back status from James Stewart. Jackson and Givens are the wideouts, and in the 3 wideout, Desmond Howard, the former Heisman Trophy winner, will come in along with another rookie, Pete Mitchell. He comes in at the tight end position. Jacksonville with a 3-7 record. Tampa Bay at 5-5. Good run. It's across the 30, and he's got a Jacksonville first down at the 32. And setting Tampa Bay's front 4, Santana Dotson. He leads the team in sacks with 4. Brad Culpepper, Ahanotu, and Curry along up front with him. Wardell Rouse gets his first NFL start. Lonnie Martz is hurt. Kenneth Gant, the 3rd-string strong safety, gets his first start for Tampa Bay. And Magruder and Clifton Abraham come in the dime. First and 10 after the 12-yard gain by Dunbar. There's the fake to Stewart. Now rolling left, throws it out of bounds. We have Pete Mitchell in the vicinity, but incomplete.
Well, great play right off the bat. You know, they try and establish the run game in the first one, do a good job with Dunbar. Brunell that time running a boot, but Eric Curry, number 75 for the Buccaneers, a big play guy that they're hoping to develop. At number 1 back in 1993, stays home and gets in the face of Mark Brunell.
First round pick out of Alabama a couple of years ago. No farther than the 35, maybe a gain of 2 or 3. We mentioned he is now the featured back. He has been the starter the last 3 games now for James Stewart, who began the season as the starter. Stewart, of course, was the first-round pick, but they like Dunbar's toughness.
Yeah, it was back in the Cleveland game that James Stewart, who they really turned to early in the season, really wasn't performing. They pulled him out, they put Vaughn Dunbar in, and he had an immediate impact. There was immediate momentum shift in that game. Since then, they've decided, let's go with this guy. He's a little bit more physical, a little tougher.
Passing down now for Brunell out of the shotgun. Brunell gets rid of it. It is a wobbler across midfield, incomplete. intended for Willie Jackson.
I'll tell you what, interesting, they moved number 75, Eric Curry, off the line, moved him into the middle, almost as a stand-up linebacker right in the middle, rushes right down the pipe into Mark Brunell's face, and he's the one that broke that pass up. It was all Eric Curry.
So on 4th down and long, that is Brian Barker, and Bobby Joe Edmonds stands back at the 26. Pretty good pump by Barker. That is into the lead. Taken by Edmonds at the 14, and he is down at about the 24, so a 10-yard return for Bobby Joe, brought down by Dave Thomas. Opening moments at Tampa Bay, we are scoreless. For now in Tampa Bay, he has started all the games. And up front, Paul Gruber making his 117th straight
start that ties a franchise record set by Leroy Selman. Eric Rett on his way to his second straight 1,000-yard season. Courtney Hawkins will start off as the third wideout. That's the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will
start the game, but they'll also go back to their base offense, which has Dave Moore come in as the fullback. The Bucs begin from the 24, and Dilfer to throw on 1st down, and running Hawkins on the near side, incomplete. And the Jacksonville Jaguar defense, they've given up some big yards lately, but Jeff Lagerman is another one of those high-priced free agents they brought in, along with Pritchett and Don Davey. He also leads the team in sacks with 3. Keith Gilganius is back at middle linebacker. Travis Davis, the rookie, gets his first NFL start. He's the rookie out of Notre Dame, and Darren Scutstill and Dave Thomas come in as the down backers. With his first carry, he's across the 30-yard line, brought down by James Williams. So Eric Rett, who had a second best in his career effort last week with 144 yards, trying for another 1,000-yard season, and he should be well on his way. He only needs about 200 more yards.
And there's 2 things that they need to do right now to help Trent Dilfer. One is get Eric Rett's running game going, and 2 is what they try to do on the first play. Let Trent hit some of the short passes and gain some confidence.
3rd down and a couple from the 32. Dilfer fires it in and out of the hands, or maybe it was the chest of Jackie Harris. One of the great tight ends, but unable to hang on to that one, and that'll bring up 4th down in the punting unit.
Well, you can't put this one on Trent. Trent found the guy and, wanted to get the, especially in the middle. You've got to rifle that ball in there between these defenders. These linebackers closing quickly. Harris just did not get his hands, just did not focus on the ball. That's on Jackie Harris.
So Tampa Bay in confirmation. We apologize for the audio difficulties. Our audio signal may not be as
clear as it usually is, but we're working on that. And this punt is blocked. Reggie Roby's punt is blocked and rolls up around the 45-yard line. So the partially blocked punt by Reggie Roby sets up Jacksonville with excellent field position.
By Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered. By DirecTV.
You get as a...
Well, we'd like to welcome all of those of you who have not been with us. We have been experiencing some technical difficulties. Opening moments here at Tampa Stadium. Jacksonville and Tampa Bay scoreless with 10:38 left in the first quarter.
Holding, 79 offense, 10 yards, repeat 2nd down.
And the referee, Gordon McCarter, agreeing with you, Bob. The penalty on Wydell, the center.
Dan, I know Dave Wydell very well.
How well do you know him?
Well, if somebody was going to be called for a holding penalty early in the game, it was going to be Dave Wydell. After playing against him for a number of years, him and his brother Doug used to gang up on me. It was like a street fight out there.
So 2nd down and 19. Now the officials powwowing close to midfield.
But we will give our due to Dave Whitell. He is the oldest guy in that offensive front right there. Really has been the key to trying to get those young guys to develop. I mean, you're talking about Boselli and DeMarco at the tackles, who are rookies this year. Novak at left guard, a second-year guy. Coleman they bring in from Arizona, third-year. Whitell with 8 years of experience is the big vet right there, and really has taken control, a lot of responsibility. And for a guy who's cheap-shotted me so many times, it's nice to see him faced with so much responsibility.
I sense something there.
We're friends. We had that love-hate thing going.
Second largest offensive line in the NFL now, with the addition of Ben Coleman, who goes 335 at right guard. Only the Cowboys have a beefier line, but it's the tallest in the NFL. And Brunell looks over that big line, and a nice, well, for a moment, it appeared that Pete Mitchell had it, but it is ruled incomplete. Derek Brooks on the coverage for Tampa Bay.
Mitchell had an incredible move. You get to see him on the left side of your screen against 55 Derek Brooks, and Mitchell just made a nice move to get separation from Brooks. Brooks kind of caught flat-footed, but Mitchell, you make that nice a move, you get that sweet a route, you got to make the catch.
Coughlin, the Boston College product, 4th round pick by the Dolphins this year, but Tom Coughlin, who coached him at Boston College, picked him up. Third down now and long, 19 yards. Brunell out of the shotgun. And a far side of the field, a nice grab made at the 38-yard line by Willie Jackson, but it'll be well short of the first down. Martin Mayhew provided the coverage.
Yeah, they knew that they had a lot of yardage to get. They were just going to force him to throw it underneath. You're going to see him working up against Mayhew. Mayhew giving him plenty of room, making sure that he can make the play on the receiver and make the tackle. There's no way he was going to get the first down.
Well, we're not expecting a lot of offense today. The Jacksonville Jaguars 29th in the NFL, and Tampa Bay has had its problems as well offensively. Barker's punt out of bounds. They will mark it at about the 7-yard line, so Barker does his job, and we'll be right back to Tampa Bay in a moment. In the first quarter, Jacksonville and Tampa Bay having difficulties getting things started on offense. There is Mark Brunell. And now Trent Dilfer, who's had an interesting week. Really, Sam Weiss didn't make the decision until the Monday after last week's game against Detroit whether Dilfer would start. But it is the 11th straight game he started, but he has been benched a few times. And this drive begins all the way back at the 7-yard line. And Brett gets maybe a yard. But Casey Weldon always on the standby for Tampa Bay, and only 3 touchdown passes all season. And if you look at what other quarterbacks and defenses have done along with special teams, that really puts it in perspective.
It's amazing. I mean, that's a game's work for a guy like Hostetler. And this here you see number 11, Casey Weldon, who is the guy who has stepped in for Dilfer should things go wrong.
He relieved Dilfer last week a couple of times, once because of an injury to the throat by Dilfer, and another time because Dilfer just did not read a blitz, and the coaches were not happy about that at all. This one complete to the far side at the 16-yard line, hauled in by Lawrence Dawsey. Travis Davis on the coverage defensively.
A good job. It was up working for Lawrence Dawsey, working up against Travis Davis, starting at strong safety this week. Just kind of like faded away to the outside, just got the separation. I think Davis, expecting him to break it back to the inside, just allowed him to get a little bit too much cushion.
Just short of the first down. Will be third down and less than a yard. And they will pass. And is it caught? Yes, caught by Dave Moore. That is just the 7th catch all season for Moore, but that one good for a first down.
What an incredible job, too. Working against Harry Colin, starting in there, the free safety today. All over. Colin making a sweet play, but the throw and the catch between Dilfer, what an incredible play. Good concentration.
Harry Colin, who is starting at free safety today, normally the strong safety. But Travis Davis getting his first NFL start as the safety for Jacksonville. So first down and 10 from the 20. And this is 41, Bobby Joe Edmonds on a rare carry. In fact, he's only had 3 yards rushing all season, but he gets the early carry. And here's a guy that's been out of football since 1989.
Amazing. Well, he hasn't lost much. Nice move to the outside. Real nice move to the outside.
And quickly Tampa Bay up in the Sam Weish no huddle from the 29. It'll be second down and short. And it'll be Bobby Joe Edmonds again. I wonder if something is the matter with Eric Rett, because very unusual to see Bobby Joe Edmonds run, but he does pick up the first down. We mentioned here's a guy that's been out of football since '89. In his rookie year with the Seahawks, he led the AFC with better than 12 yards punt return average, but was out of the game for 6-7 years before coming back. Sold real estate, had a self-admitted drinking problem, said he had to get his life back on the right track, and he's done that. Really, it was a question mark whether he would even make the team. But he picks up a couple of early carries, and there gets the first down for Tampa Bay to drive alive at the 34. And here is the pitch near side. This is number 37, Jerry Ellison, brought down by Keith Goganius.
Well, Ellison is the guy that they've gone to. Had a couple of touchdowns last week. Not as many yards as Eric Rett did, but here you see him bobbling the pitch a little bit, able to finally get a hold. But we asked Eric Rett about the fact that Ellison was the guy that went in and got the touchdowns when Rett was the one getting all the yards. He goes, hey, I threw some pretty good blocks for him.
You got to wonder if Sam Weish misplaced his playbook last night. That is just the 12th rush for Ellison. You see what he did last week as he scored his first 2 NFL touchdowns, but Bobby Joe with a couple of carries and Ellison with a carry early. Second down and 7. And now here's Rett. I guess when it's unexpected, he can do even more damage. And we'll send you to New York and Greg Gumbel for our first update. Greg.
All right, Dan, in Cincinnati, this is the opening kickoff. Steelers kicking to the Bengals. David Dunn, the crossfield lateral to Jeff Hill, who takes it 62 yards before he's knocked out of bounds. It set up a Jeff Blake to Darnay Scott touchdown pass. The Bengals are leading Pittsburgh 7-0 in the first. Dan and Bob, back to you.
All right, thank you, Greg. The Bengals looking impressive again. They are 4-6 and still very much in the hunt in the AFC Central race. And on the misdirection, this is Jerry Ellison again. They're certainly giving him more time this week. Breaks a couple of tackles, gets it all the way up into Jacksonville territory at the 33 before he's chased down by Ernie Logan.
Well, what a great run. The guy just kind of dragged it out there. And watch how he just bides his time running horizontally. You get some good penetration by the D, but he sees the gap opening. He sees the blocks develop, which is, obviously the sign of a guy who's going to be a good running back. Finds it, slashes through, but give it credit to the offensive line, too, for really stringing that out, walling off the inside linebackers and giving them that gap.
That looked a lot like his nifty 36-yard touchdown run last week. So Tampa Bay spreading it around on the ground. Not just the Eric Rett show that we expected. And movement up front was Jacksonville drawn off. We'll hear from Gordon McCarter. Just a beautiful day, Bob. Jam-packed stadium, and of course there's even more electricity in here because Jacksonville Jaguar fans have made the trip. There's about 10,000 of them that have made the trip. It's just a 3-hour drive.
Neutral zone infraction. Defensive left tackle in the neutral zone, causing the offense to move. 5 yards. First down.
And that penalty on Kelvin Pritchett, the former Lion.
No, not something you want to happen at any time in the field, but right side of your screen, Pritchard just getting a little bit of early jump, and right down here you start working in towards the end zone like this, you definitely don't want to give the offense any help.
So Tampa Bay with a 1st and 5 at the Jaguar 28. And there is Eric Rett. And Eric Rett gets inside the 25-yard line before he's brought down by Paul Fraze.
You know, one of the things that Sam Weiss told us yesterday was that as they came out in their formations today, they weren't going to do a lot of motion. They weren't going to motion people around and try to confuse the defense, but they were going to use a lot of different formations. We've seen one-back sets. We've seen one-back sets with Rett set short. We've seen two backs. We've seen Ellison deep. So they really, he's stuck to his word. He's come out with a lot of different formations.
I think he saw that game film last week in Chris Warren. 2nd and 2. And Rett explodes up the middle inside the 15-yard line. It'll be another Tampa Bay first down.
Nice blocks up front. Really just opening that front. You know, nothing fancy about this. Watch the blocks right there. 83. Dave Moore with the lead block on the linebackers, just opening up that hole. The offensive lineman just dominating the defensive front. Great blocking up front. Dave Moore, who plays in the fullback position, also plays in the tight end position, but that time fullback, great lead block.
And an injured Jaguar on the field. Rett, that was his 5th carry for 32 yards, and I guess even though he had 144 yards last week, Bob, could it be a possibility that it become a little bit too predictable with him running the football, even when he does gain big yards? We'll take a short break and be right back. 5 being mounted by Tampa Bay. It began at its own 7 and is now at the Jacksonville 13. There is the injured player, number 51, Mark Williams, the linebacker for Jacksonville. And inside the 20 this year for Tampa Bay, just a little more than half the time they come up with a touchdown. And a fake, and Dilfer the other way. Wide open was Jackie Harris, but he wasn't able to connect.
Wow, great misdirection play. They run that. He comes over to the right-hand side. What they do is they leave the receiver kind of back there, minding his own business, like he's not doing anything. Then he kind of slides out there late. You see Dilfer here? No, and I had him wide open, man. I can't believe that I missed it. And that's one of the things. Another thing that Sam Weiss said: accuracy. Accuracy has been a problem.
That may have been a touchdown had Dilfer been able to be on the mark. The fake here, the reverse to Courtney Hawkins. And Jacksonville quickly closes in at the 19-yard line. Mickey Washington is there along with a host of Jaguars.
Well, you're going to give Mickey Washington the tackle, but you also got to put it on 92, Don Davey, who got great penetration up front. As you're going to watch it come back. Look at him get the penetration, forcing the runner back deep, giving Mickey Washington a little bit of time to react and come up and make the play.
So this drive appearing to sputter now. 3rd down and 17. The ball back outside of the 20-yard line. Dilfer to pass over the middle. It is complete to Alvin Harper. The field goal unit will come on for Tampa Bay, and the boos come down in the ears of Sam Weiss.
Well, you know, they talked about the short stuff and talked about trying to get the short things going to get Trent his confidence. But right here, when you're dumping the ball off the middle to Harper, Harper's not a guy that's going to break a lot of tackles once he gets the ball. And especially when you set him in the middle and dump the ball between a couple of linebackers, it is just not a high percentage play.
So Michael Husted on to attempt a 33-yard field goal. He's been struggling a little bit lately. He's missed 3 of his last 4 attempts. Weldon with a hold, and Husted punches this one through just inside the left upright. So Tampa Bay, with just over a minute to go in the first quarter, puts together a good drive, but it ends up at a 33-yard field goal by Husted to give them a 3-0 lead.
Well, you got to give them the credit. It was a long drive. They started on their own 7-yard line approximately, and just set up a Trent Dilfer taking that team. And I'll tell you what, also besides Dilfer, you got to put a lot of credit on Sam Weish, too, because he told us going in he was going to change a lot of things up formation-wise and, give them some different looks, maybe confuse them. And I think that's exactly what they did. A lot of different backfield sets, a lot of different formations up front. And then you see guys like Ellison running the ball when they're expecting Rhett, and also Bobby Joe Edmonds.
Well, after the Kansas City-Dallas showdown, which comes your way on Thanksgiving, how big a game will that be? You can stick around for what's become an NBC holiday tradition, Home Alone, one of the biggest comedy hits of all time, Home Alone on NBC Thanksgiving night.
Got the Jaguar defensive face after that last drive. Oh, they're playing good up front. I mean, the Jaguar defense is made up of some very good ball players who, in any time you bring in a lot of talented players, people initially say, oh, look, you got the talent. You brought in Lagerman, you brought in Paul Fraze, Schmengi, all these guys that have experience in the league. But until they've played together and worked out a chemistry, you never know what's going to happen.
Houston kicks off. And taken at the 12-yard line by Curtis Marsh. And boy, did he have a good week last week on kickoff returns. Gets this one just up to the 19-yard line, but returned kickoffs for the very first time in his career last week and averaged better than 24 yards.
But he had like 7 returns for like 169 yards.
He had a magnificent week last week.
Set a single-game record.
The rookie out of Utah. And he gets it just short of the 19-yard line, and that's where Jacksonville will begin. He's brought down by Clifton Abraham.
Well, it's up to Brunell now to try and get something going, and it's been on his back before. We've seen the run game not really be able to light anything up, so it's going to come down to Brunell taking himself or getting the ball out to some receivers.
James Stewart is in the backfield, and he gets the toss across the 20, spinning his way up to the 25-yard line for about a gain of 6. James Stewart, first-round pick, 19th overall, the 4th running back chosen out of Tennessee.
Well, they like this guy. They've got a lot to learn. As you're going to see both onside linemen pulling. Nice kickout block there. Good pursuit from Culpepper on the inside, but they like the guy. He's got a lot of talent. They really put a lot on his shoulders early in the season, but they said, he's a guy that goes 100 miles an hour all the time. He's got to learn to bide his time and pick his holes and know where his blocks are developing.
Tom Coughlin told us he needs more patience. He's replaced in the backfield by Dunbar, but that just simply falls out of the hands of Mark Brunell, and a flag has come in, and there is another one that is tossed. And that is Derek Brooks, who has to drag a Buccaneer out of the fray. And down hurt is Eric Curry. And we might see a personal foul call explained here by Gordon McCarter. That does not bode well for the Buccaneer defense. They have been beset with injuries.
I'll tell you what happens when that ball comes loose and you got a quarterback going for it and in danger. Your offensive line, your big guys on that offense are going to do whatever they can to protect him. I don't know who went for who, but it seems like Eric Curry caught the brunt of whatever the...
The result of the play was a fumble recovered by the quarterback. We have 2 fouls, illegal use of hands, number 75 defense, also a personal foul, head slap, 75 defense. The major penalty will be enforced in the dead ball spot, 15 first down.
And that will mean the end of the game for Eric Curry. Here's the play.
You see Curry working right there in the left side of your screen. The ball just coming out of Brunell's hand. But Curry working up against Tony Baselli. Let's see, 75 right there. And they're him, Whitedell, and Baselli just...
Well, you saw Sam Weish in the sideline with a face mask, and that is the punch.
Yeah.
And he is gone.
Well, Tony Baselli grabbed Eric Curry's face mask, yanked his head down, and had it kind of tucked under. The referees couldn't see that. Eric Curry, being the guy who retaliates, and the coaches always tell you, don't swing back, because the ref is not going to see the first hit. He's going to see you retaliating, and that's exactly what they saw that time.
Saw Sam Weish He wanted a face mask. Instead, loses Eric Curry and another defensive star really on his team. Brunell hands off to Dunbar as the closing seconds tick off at the end of the first quarter. Tampa Bay has the lead 3-0, but they will play the rest of this game without the former first-round pick out of Alabama.
Maybe you helped and didn't know it.
Formed Eric Curry has not been thrown out of the game for the punch he just threw. He is back in the defense for Tampa Bay.
Well, there were 3 penalties here. One is the face mask by Baselli. The second one, the head slap from Curry to Baselli, and then Curry taking a shot at Dave Weidel. Unfortunately, the refs only saw the 2, the head slap and the punch, and then you see Eric Curry realizing the old saying, you don't punch a guy in the face mask with a bare hand, that hurts.
So Tampa Bay settling in on defense with Curry and Jacksonville now with first down and 10 from the 36. Brunell is taken down, but he just gets rid of it. And it's complete to number 35, Lachey Maston. Brunell just getting rid of it. Thomas Everett on the bring down of Maston.
Good strength by Brunell. Watch a rush up inside, and he just, the nice work at number 95.
How did he get rid of that?
How did he get rid of it? Just good strength to stand in there, dumping the ball off to Lachey Maston.
Well, Curry was involved in another post-play shoving incident.
Oh, he knows he was done wrong. He knows that he didn't start it, but he was the one that was caught.
So second down and 10. And Brunell dumps it off. The screen brought down right away. Gene Stewart is brought down by number 22, Thomas Everett.
Great play by Everett. Now that's what you need from a guy who's going to come up and make a play on a screen. They're going to start. They're trying to run a game over on the right-hand side. He dumps off the screen, and before the blockers can even get set up to make a play, Everett comes in and just slashes through. You're going to watch Weidel. Weidel is the guy that's going to get the first bump, and then he's going downfield looking for anybody to hit. Usually you get a chance, they're going to go after an offensive lineman. If he has a chance, he's going to go after a little guy first.
Good play by Thomas Everett to set up the third down and 10. Brunell out of the shotgun and dumps this off near side to Maston. And Maston just gets across the 40, and that'll bring up another fourth down. Jacksonville will have to punt. Hardy Nickerson, the leading tackler, makes the stop for Tampa Bay, and we hear some positive noise from the Tampa Stadium crowd.
And I'll tell you, when they introduced him, you heard the noise then. You hear it now. They love Hardy Nickerson just dumping the screen off. And Hardy being a strong inside backer, but just great flow, great movement to the ball, and a nice hit on a big back.
Barker's punt, low wobbler. Edmonds from the 16, brought down immediately at the 18-yard line. Good special teams play turned in by Jimmy Smith. Tampa Bay with a 3-0 lead.
Ford introduces the all-new Taurus.
Of durability and consistency, Paul Gruber, 117 straight starts, ties Leroy Selman for most in Bucs history. He's the only Buck to take every snap of 95. He was the 4th player chosen overall in 1988.
I mean, they put him in the game right that first day, and they've left him there.
He's only missed 6 games. 5 were due to a holdout, and 1 because of an injury in his entire career. And getting the call up the middle is Eric Rett. And Eric Rett's across the 25-yard line, brought down by Joel Smengi.
A good miss. And the guy we talked about that there you go, Leroy Selman.
Hall of Famer, only retired number in Tampa Bay history, number 63. And there's his brother, Lucius Selman, an assistant on the Jacksonville sidelines.
Right, he's out there coaching outside linebacker for the Jaguars. I'm sure at this point he feels no loyalty whatsoever.
Dewey Selman, another one of those great Selman players for Oklahoma. And Rett gets the call. He's got first down yardage at the 35. This is more vintage Tampa Bay offense when you go Rett, and instead of the Edmonds-Ellison opportunities that we saw earlier, but Rett burns off another good game.
And they're doing a great job up in the front line. They're doing some misdirection, some down blocking. You're seeing them picking up the guys on angles, getting them all kind of catching them on the shoulder, and just really opening up the middle of that line.
Well, the offer goes again today, Bob, from Eric Brett. If he gets 125 yards, he will give each of his offensive linemen $1,000.
Now, if he goes 150 yards, $2,000.
Dilfer passing out of the pocket. That is incomplete, intended for Lawrence Dawsey. Mickey Washington on the coverage, and I don't think the Tampa fans here have been too happy about Dilfer's start today.
No, you're right. We talked about this earlier, that Sam Weiss will not hesitate to pull him out if he feels that that something's not right. But I think the fans kind of agree with Sam Weiss at this point. If they don't like what Dilfer's doing right away, they're saying put Casey in.
Well, the flag has been thrown. Perhaps illegal procedure against the Buccaneers. Gordon McCarter, of course, famous for his Polaroid stuffing in the shirt of Bill Cowher earlier.
Illegal formation. One eligible receiver covering another on the line of scrimmage. 5 yards. Repeat first down.
But I don't think that's what Gordon McCarter wants to be remembered for in his illustrious officiating career.
I wonder if when those Christmas cards do go out that if they're exchanged between Gordon and Coach Cowher.
1st and 15 for Tampa Bay. They have the 3-0 lead off of the Houston field goal. Just about 4 minutes into the second quarter. Dilfer pumps once and avoids one tackler, but he will go down at the 28-yard line, and Kelvin Pritchett will bring him down. And that will be a sack for Jacksonville.
And Dan, the problem with Trent right now is he's not seeing all his receivers. He had Eric Rett sitting out in the other flat wide open. He had a couple other guys that had gotten some separation, a little bit of pressure on his face, and Trent gets a little foot happy. He starts getting a little antsy back there. At that point, it doesn't matter what the receivers are doing. He's not looking downfield anymore.
Well, he does not have great mobility. Casey Weldon, a much more mobile quarterback. Here is Rett. And on a running play on 2nd down and 17, it'll bring up 3rd down and long. Let's send you to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dan, at Washington, one
heck of a ball player for Seattle Seahawks.
Jacksonville knows all about him. He went 81 yards on a reverse last week in Jacksonville, as Seattle won that game 47-30. Dilfer, 3rd down and long, incomplete. 4th down. The punting unit will come on again for Tampa Bay. That was intended for Hawkins.
And he was covered. He had a guy behind him. He had a linebacker coming up in his face. And Trent looking right there. Really, if you watch Trent's head that whole time, he did not look too much around that field. He pretty much looked to that receiver and stayed there. It's like he pulled his primary receiver and wanted to stay there, and as he gets pulled down a little bit, tripping up after the play. But
now Jeff Lageman is the injured Jaguar. We'll check on him when we come back to Tampa in just a moment. Back in Tampa Stadium, the Buccaneers punting on 4th down. Reggie Roby will boot it away, and Desmond Howard, drifting to his left, lets this one drop inside the 20. And Tampa Bay picks it up, goes into the end zone, but they'll mark that down at the 14-yard line. That was number 26, Clifton Abraham.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. It was a good heads-up play by Abraham, because number 45, Travis Davis for the Jaguars, was one of the guys covering the Buccaneer flyer down the sideline. When the ball was punted towards the side, it almost hit Travis Davis. You're going to see over on the left side of the field right here, you're going to see Travis Davis right in the center right there, almost getting hit by the ball. Now, had that ball made contact, he's very good awareness. Pick it up, take the chance. Why not?
So the career highlight.
Desmond Howard saying, "Get away, get away."
Career highlight will have to wait. Perhaps another time for Clifton Abraham, the rookie out of Florida State. Jacksonville begins this drive at their own 14. And Brunell, who's met with pressure as he turns, incomplete. intended for Mitchell. Derek Brooks was in his face.
A good play, good awareness on the backside. Once again from Eric Curry coming from his right end spot. You're going to see top of your screen. He's going to come through late right into the bootleg. Now, defensive linemen got to be careful. It wasn't a cheap shot, but anytime the defensive player's hand goes to the head area of the quarterback, they're going to throw a flag. That was very close.
Second down and 10. Dunbar just across the 15-yard line. That'll bring up third and long. Hardy Nickerson makes the stop, and Nickerson playing with a chipped bone in his toe, and ironically injured it while breaking the huddle last week when Santana Dotson stepped on his toe.
And I'll tell you what, you talk about a little broken toe and you think it's no big deal. Those are very painful. I had one in a New Orleans game. I asked the trainers, they shot it up with Novocaine. Couldn't feel a thing. Couldn't feel my foot touching the ground.
That would be a problem.
So I suggested to Hardy, he didn't do that.
Third down and 8 now. Brunell working out of a shotgun. And his pass complete. And it should be good for the first down to Pete Mitchell. Kenneth Gant made the stop, but not before Mitchell, the former Boston College Eagle, picks up the first down.
Well, that's Brunell dropping back into the pocket. Good awareness back there. Good body control. He has developed well as a young quarterback, and the little controversy they had early on between him and Steve Berline. Good throw to Mitchell. Gant trying to get that ball pulled out of there. Knew he couldn't come up and make the play, trying to get a turnover.
Brunell being chased from behind and brought down by number 72, Chidi Ahanotu, his second sack of the season.
Well, just persistence by Chidi. Good rush to the outside. You can see him on the right side of your screen, and left defensive end just working a nice rip. Come back underneath. Just persistence in chasing Brunell down. Right there. Nice hump move coming back underneath. Classic. You could teach. That could be a teaching tape for the hump move in the rush.
There is a God. All men are created equal. Chidi Ahanotu. His parents are Nigerian.
His father's name is Austin, which means the capital of Texas. All I can figure out.
There was a God on that play, and it was Chidi. Well, under severe pressure, Brunell's able to get it out to James Stewart. But he gets just about up to the line of scrimmage and no more. We'll take another timeout, get another scoring update from Greg in New York.
All right, Dan, at New England.
All right, Greg, thank you very much. The Patriots pretty much forced themselves into a must-win situation down the stretch in every game to try to get to the playoffs. Tampa Bay here holding on to some playoff aspirations as well at 5-5. Brunell's pass complete on third down, but short of the first down is Ernest Gibbons, who hauls in his first catch. Played his high school ball in St. Pete, grew up in the Bay Area, but not able to get enough yards there.
Well, I tell you what, look at the way Brunell throws. He is so good with accuracy at placing that ball in the right place. He's been hitting receivers that have been covered very well, but he's put the ball exactly where it needed to be caught.
So the Jaguars continue to struggle on offense. Barker's punt, a pretty good one. Bobby Joe Edmonds from the 14 comes left side across the 30 and brought down at the 37-yard line. Good return by Bobby Joe Edmonds. Dave Thomas made the stop. Tampa Bay leading 3-0. We'll have another offensive start when we come back.
There are definite reasons.
Punt set up initially. Bobby Joe Edmonds taking the kick. A lot of room between him and the coverage people. As you see, then the return team setting up some very nice blocks. Luckily, Dave Thomas able to get in there and get a grab on Edmonds. But then you see Larry Pasquale, the special teams coordinator, just not happy with what happened on that last play.
Good punt return, good for 25 yards by Edmonds. He came into the ballgame third in the NFC with a better than 11-yard average. Eric Rett begins this series. And there is Pasquale, former Eagles special teams coach, now with Jacksonville.
You know, I've asked special team coaches over the last couple of years, you know, what it's like, and you know, you sit there and between team to team, the breakdown on what kind of returns you use aren't necessarily so much different. It comes down to the personnel. Who's going to go on there with that wild abandon and just sell themselves out? That's something you can't teach. You just have to find players that can do that.
Fake by Dilfer, rolls left and near sideline. He's got number 88, Horace Copeland. And Copeland is very close to the first down before he's brought down by Goganius.
Well, good sell. We've seen a couple of guys, both Trent and Brunell, try the bootlegs, and they've had defenders in their face. This time the Jaguar is not leaving anybody on the backside to get into his face. There you see the pass, the throw out into the flat. Why, you know, when he's got the vision wide open like that with nobody bothering him in the bootleg, it should be an easy throw.
So they're measuring to see if Copeland picked up the first down, and he did. First down and 10 for the Buccaneers, just across their own 48-yard line. Just over 5 minutes left in the first half. Low-scoring game with two of the lower-ranked offenses in the National Football League going at it. 3-0. Tampa Bay leads it.
And Trent just needs to get some confidence. You know, even though this is his second year, he only played in a couple of games last year, so he really doesn't have that much experience.
There's Harper in motion, and they keep it on the ground to Rhett, and Rhett inside the Jacksonville Jaguar 45. We mentioned the low-scoring offenses on the field today. There's the look at the most points scored: Dallas, Chicago, and Miami. And toward the bottom of the list, you've got the expansion team and Tampa Bay.
That puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the defense to try and hold the other team's offense down to some minimal points.
Eric Rhett is getting closer and closer to perhaps losing more money out of his wallet. There he is again, right side. And Eric Rhett picking up the first down. He says he really likes to run on that right side behind Ian Beckles. Beckles is number 62 out of Indiana.
Well, they come out 90. They come out of the I formation. He makes an adjustment. Trent Dilfer probably seeing something in the alignment of the defense. Makes an audible at the line, and they basically run off tackle out of I formation to the right-hand side and pick up a couple of yards.
Out of the shotgun on 1st and 10. Dilfer stands in and over the hands of Alvin Harper, incomplete. There's Mike Dumas out there.
That seems to be the way it is with Trent Dilfer. He seems to get his ball just a little bit high. In fact, I was talking to Turk Schoner, one of the coaches, before the game today, and he was talking about how he hurt his shoulder. And I said, well, how'd you hurt your shoulder? And you see Trent Dilfer here after the throw. You know, he knows that he was off, but he goes, well, Trent was throwing me the ball a little bit high as he usually does. And I hurt my shoulder. So, when you get it up high and you got safeties back there, you run the risk of throwing that INT all the time.
That was very close to an interception. Dilfer has 11 on the season. And caught at the 40-yard line is Rhett. And that'll bring up 3rd down and long. So what seems to be an impressive drive for Tampa Bay really has pulled up lame here at about the 40-yard line.
Well, Paul Frey's making a nice play, stepping in and playing for the injured Jeff Lageman. Frey, who also they picked up from the Jets in the expansion draft.
Update you on the injuries on Jacksonville defense. Mark Williams has a dislocated left shoulder. He will not return. Tampa Bay just 1 of 4 on 3rd downs. They need 10 here. Dilfer with plenty of time, and this time again is way off the mark. The ball is up for grabs, and now it's down loose. Incomplete. Harper was open.
Wide open.
You mentioned the high ball, Bob. That was way up there.
Harper was wide open, a guy with a lot of experience. That's why they brought him in. He's an experienced receiver. He's experienced at playoffs. They're hoping he'll teach these guys something. But again, Dilfer, you can see Harper didn't even go up for the ball. That ball was so overthrown, he couldn't even go up for it. It just became a jump ball there in the middle. You see Harper almost getting a hold of the ball at the end of the play, but the defender's able to yank it loose. But once again, Trent Dilfer just throwing it way too high.
So here's Reggie Roby again trying to drop one inside the 20. And in and out of the arms of one of the Tampa Bay special team players. That was Clifton Abraham, who had a chance to pin Jacksonville deep. Has had a good shot at a Trent Dilfer interception. That is the latest. Mike Dumas, actually Travis Davis, excuse me, the rookie out of Notre Dame, in his very first NFL start. So Jacksonville begins at the 20. They trail 3-0, approaching the 2-minute warning of the first half. James Stewart in the backfield for Jacksonville, and he'll get the first down call and get 2 yards. So it has not exactly been an offensive clinic with 2 minutes remaining in the first half. This is the shortest road trip for Jacksonville this year. Obviously, just about a 3-hour bus trip. Those folks you saw in the stands took about 100 buses to get here. There's about 10,000 of them cheering on the Jaguars. And remind you that the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime reports coming up next. Gumbel, Ditka, and Gibbs scores and highlights, and they're also exploring. Oh, Dallas has lost. Who is the best team in the NFL now? That's coming up at halftime on the NFL on NBC halftime report. Brunell, pass complete to Mitchell at about the 34-yard line, and Mitchell has the first down. That was Kenneth Gant on the coverage for the Bucs, and a flag has been thrown.
The flag landed next to number 71, Tony Baselli, who was laying next to a defensive player. So I've got to say, probably holding on Tony.
71 offense, 10 yards, repeat second down.
Tony saying, no way. No way.
He's probably he's so confused as to where Brunell is. He's probably lost some concentration.
You're going to see that Baselli, the second guy on the left, taking his defender down inside, and as he tries to break back out to chase Brunell, you see Baselli pulling his guy down to the turf.
I liked his response yesterday. He says, I have no idea where Mark Brunell is back there. Well, they asked him about blocking for a running quarterback. Brunell's pass complete at the 15-yard line to Willie Jackson.
Because, you know, that's a difficult thing for an offensive lineman, is to sit back there and to block for a guy who's moving around as much as a quarterback like Brunell does.
A timeout call by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are clinging to the 3-0 lead. They did start off 0-4, but they came back to win 3 of their last 4. They've now lost 2 straight. And Tampa Bay, we mentioned at the top, got off to the 5-2 record as you look at Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator for Jacksonville. But both teams, Bob, have really fallen on hard times as of late. They just are not near the football teams they were earlier.
Yeah, the Buccaneers, a lot of people felt had a chance to actually get into the playoffs in that a very difficult division.
And they still are just a game back of first place. But they have to have this game. And Brunell's pass way off the mark. That was intended for Desmond Howard, and he was covered very closely by Martin Mayhew.
Martin Mayhew having a really good game, playing very aggressively, as his nature in playing defense. But Howard going for that ball, and Mayhew just making an incredible play, just attacking him.
So Jacksonville now just 1 of 6 on third down tries.
There you see Mayhew going back, and he got such a good break on the ball that he actually just said, the heck with Desmond Howard, I'm going for the ball.
He had an interception last week and was looking for number 3 there. So Barker on again to punt. And Bobby Joe Edmonds with a chance to get Tampa Bay with excellent field position to perhaps close out the first half. He takes it at the 43, quickly into Jacksonville territory, but no farther than the 48-yard line. He's brought down by Rich Griffith. Coming up next, it's the conclusion of the Skills Challenge presented by Sun America. Two-time champion Peter Jacobson leads the entries in what really, of all the December golf events, Bob, is really the standout event. It's the Skills Challenge, and it's coming up next on NBC.
And I'll tell you what, I was surprised in a long drive that he was even able to beat out Daly. But Daly was a little bit off center on his drive, and Jacobson was able to pull it out.
So you were glued.
I actually was glued, because I sat there looking at this grid that they were hitting onto, thinking, what if I couldn't even reach the grid? Was that out of bounds, or would I just be like really?
You don't even have to think about it, because I don't think you're going to get an invite to the Skills Challenge next.
It was a slow afternoon. Sorry, Dan.
Minute 23 left. And the Buccaneers have 2 of their timeouts left. And Dilfer goes to work. Pass incomplete. Now that pass maybe should have been caught by Jackie Harris. He dropped one earlier, and maybe that was a little bit too off the mark by Dilfer. But let's take another look.
Yeah, I don't know. You're going to see Harris come on the left side of your screen as he breaks it on a little short turn there, and he should have had it. I mean, that's an easy enough pass to catch. I mean, he's right there. He's just got to lean to his right side, just make the grab. He should have had the ball.
Second in the NFC in catches by a tight end, Novacek, the leading receiver for Dilfer, but Dilfer has been ineffective through the air. 4 of 11. Rifles this one down the middle of the field, and that is complete for a Tampa Bay first down inside the Jacksonville 30. Alvin Harper, the former Cowboy, hauls it in.
Great job, Harper. Nice move in finding an open spot between the guys. They were all zoned up. You're going to see, first of all, you're going to see Harris break it to the outside to drag some coverage with him. Takes 2 guys with him. And Harper able to just pull up between the linebackers underneath and the safeties over the top. Found a nice open spot, but they're really set up that time by Jackie Harris making that break to the outside, drawing 2 defenders with him.
Harper, of course, missed the first 3 games with an ankle injury, and Dilfer told us yesterday, he's not quite 100%, not quite the explosive ability that he had before the injury, but
he said going up for the ball really isn't his forte right now. He doesn't have the ability to just explode, to get up and get the ball and pull it down like some of the premier receivers that you see go up and work to get him.
Well, that was a rocket thrown by Dilfer for the first down. Minute 8 left. Buccaneers with a 3-0 lead. They've just taken another timeout, so they are down to 1. Trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Preceding that was a 4-game winning streak, which got them to 5-2.
There's 4 wide receivers.
And Dilfer's on the mark again, inside the 15. And inside the 5-yard line is Harper. And the clock rolling, less than a minute left.
Once again, a real nice cleaning route. They had Lawrence Dawsey set to the inside, Harper set to the outside. Dawsey's going to make a quick move. You can see Dawsey there on the inside, break to the outside, take the coverage with him, cleaning a zone right there. Harper throwing that quick slant route. A defender really has to be able to react up quickly to that. But in a situation like this, as they're sitting back and trying to keep them keeping them out of the end zone, you're going to give them a little room, but they got to react up defensively a little bit harder than that. You see Harper very excited to get back into. A guy like him, as competitive as he is, coming from a competitive program like the Cowboys, suffering the injuries, you know that he's just dying to just explode, to just have things happen, to get that excitement back again. And you can see it starting to develop here for him.
First round pick for the Cowboys back in '91, the 12th overall player picked. Unrestricted free agent pickup by Tampa Bay after 4 years with Dallas. And the offense goal to go for Tampa Bay this season 13 times, and they've got 10 touchdowns. They lead at 3-0, trying to add more to their lead before the first half expires. And the handoff, Eric Rett, and maybe a yard, but no more before Joel Smungy, the left end, put the clamps on it. And the Buccaneers out of timeouts. Clock continuing to roll. Second down and goal. Ball on the 3. Dilfer rolling right, just throws this in the back of the end zone. It'll be incomplete. That was Vinnie Clark who caught it, but he was well behind the end zone marker. And a flag has been thrown. And Dilfer indicating that it's against Jacksonville.
Alvin Harper walked back over to Trent Dilfer after that play.
Late arm blow, half the distance, automatic first down.
That is a big, big penalty on Tom Coughlin's team. Roughing the passer so they get first down.
Yeah, they come up and make a contact with him a little bit late, and it isn't so much that they make the contact, but the referees at that point are making a judgment call on how much force is being used after the play has ended. A lot of times you'll see a guy bump a guy and the quarterback will fall down, but they kind of gauge how much force is used to make the hit.
Smengi, the former Saint, picks up the penalty. They move the ball half the distance, and now it is first down and goal from the 1, just outside of it with 22 seconds left. And Eric Rett gets into the end zone for the touchdown. And a little scuffle follows the touchdown between Armstrong and Fraze.
Well, a little bit of distraction, not much, as you see prior to the snap, a lot of shifting, guys moving around. And then just a basic handoff right up the middle. That comes down to the linebackers. You see number 90, James Williams, waiting on the goal line. As a middle linebacker in that situation, you can't be on that side of the goal line. You've got to be attacking that line of scrimmage.
9th touchdown on the season for Rett, all on the ground. And Husted set to tack on the extra point. And Tampa Bay gives this game somewhat of an offensive look with a pretty good drive kept off by the 1-yard run by Rett.
Well, Eric Rett, a nice run, and that was wide open. That was given to him by his offensive line, and again, should the yardage pile up for him, he will be giving back to his offensive lineman. As you said, for 125 yards, he gives $1,000. For a 150-yard game, he gives $200,000.
He's got a big contract, but
$1,000 to each of his offensive linemen. And we kind of like posed the question last week. He had 144 yards against the Lions. We were wondering, perhaps, Eric, did you fall down there at the end?
He was quick to point out that
he kind of shook it off.
And also quick to point out that, hey, you know, this ends up being a little bit more than, he goes, this is better than the Rolexes
that Emmett
Smith of the Dallas Cowboys hands out. He goes, this is cold cash here we're talking about. Well, he's got 69 yards already.
Because I've known a lot of offensive linemen, Dan, and a lot of them don't look like Rolex kind of guys.
Pretty impressive scoring drive. Just a minute, 5 plays, 48 yards. So just 18 seconds left at Tampa Stadium. The Buccaneers out front 10-0. Husted has accounted for the other 3 points the Bucs have scored on a 33-yard field goal in the first quarter. And I imagine Jacksonville and offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride will have some discussions in the locker room about trying to get the offense back on track. Curtis Marsh is just enveloped.
Great coverage
at the 7-yard line. Well, next Saturday, legendary head coach Eddie Robinson leads his Grambling State Tigers against the Jaguars of Southern University in the Bayou Classic, and it also features that spectacular Battle of the Bands at halftime next Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC. And Bob, we were trying to figure out how many years Robinson has been coaching, but we just said it sounds like he's got like over 10,000 wins right now. I mean, he has been around forever.
It was like about a month or so back he got his 400th win, I believe it was.
Well, these Jaguars looking for just their 4th win in their young history. And with 13 seconds left and trailing by 10, Brunell will roll out safely to the left. We haven't seen him run a lot this game, but he gets out to the 12-yard line just for about a gain of 2. And that stops the clock with 5 seconds left. Warren Sapp made the stop.
And a simple out of bounds, running out of bounds, almost looked like it got him injured. You're going to see him. You know, they came with a 3-man rush, so there really wasn't anybody there. Sapp at the end, just with a big old meat hook, getting a shot in the chest and then wrapping up the legs. But Sapp, #1 draft choice this year, came in, and you know they tried to throw him in a little bit early in the season, get him some experience, but it's difficult for a defensive lineman to make the adjustment. So they pulled him out for a little bit, and they've been having Santana Dotson be the man.
And Brunell escapes the pressure, rolling to his right, stops in his tracks, and he will be thrown down at the 15-yard line as time runs out, and it's Warren Sapp, 12th overall player picked in the draft out of Miami. Bucks traded down to get him, and he caps off the first half with the tackle of Brunell. But it is Tampa Bay which has the lead at halftime, 10-0, and we'll be sending you to our NFL on NBC studios in New York. Right
8 yards, over 100 yards for Tampa Bay. So Jacksonville just not getting any kind of offense established, needs to get it going.
And we begin the second half with a kickoff by Mike Hollis. And back deep for Tampa Bay, this is Jerry Ellison, who is back there with Bobby Joe Edmonds. They're trying to get Ellison worked into the running game and the kickoff receiving game a little bit more. And he has a good return across the 35, brought down by James Williams. The first half numbers for Trent Dilfer: no interceptions. There have been no turnovers by either team.
No interceptions yet, but you know, his balls have been sailing so high on some of these long passes. He's lucky to this point not to have an interception.
And they begin with Eric Rett in the backfield for that familiar 7 yards and behind the line of scrimmage. Says he gets a better view of the holes, and they give it to Rett. Well, there was no hole to view there, as he's brought down very quickly. Keith Goganius, the leading tackler for Jacksonville, led the defensive stop. And the first half possessions for Tampa Bay, just the field goal and the touchdown. The rest of the time, not much.
Yeah, the field goal was the only substantial drive that they had been able to establish all day long.
So really no gain at all by Rett. Second down and 10, and Dilfer to throw. And his pass in and out of the hands of Horace Copeland. And that is just, you know, when really in Dilfer's defense, Jackie Harris dropped a couple of passes in the first half, and now Horace Copeland should have held on to that one.
And also, you're going to see on the right side of your screen, Vinnie Clark, number 27, just stones him in the back. But before he even makes the contact, it's on Copeland. He's going to go up, and the ball's going to hit him in the hands and just bounce right off.
There is Vinnie Clark, who's taken a lot of heat in Jacksonville, giving up some touchdowns. But so far solid today. Third down and 10 from the 35. Opening drive of the second half. Dilfer firing across the field. Another one is juggled around. Vinnie Clark again. And that was pretty good defensive coverage as he converged on Alvin Harper. So 3 and out for the Buccaneers, and limping out is Vinnie Clark.
Now, he was limping after the last play and looked like he was a little bit sore. He started to follow Harper inside, saw the other receiver breaking out, hesitated for a second, but was able to recover in time to make the play on Harper.
So Reggie Roby with a good punt, taken by Howard at the 11. Skirts one tackle, tries to go left, and gets no farther than the 20-yard line. Jacksonville trailing 10-0. We'll begin there when we come back. From this 10-point deficit, they'll have to do it without their leading receiver, Willie Jackson, out of the game, will not return. He has a knee injury. Also defensively, they have lost Jeff Lageman. He has a foot injury and will not return. So Brunell and the Jaguars begin their first series of the second half. at the 20 and firing to Ernest Givens. That is only Ernest's second reception of the game, and he is up to the 28-yard line. Charles Dimry on the coverage. And
we see the first half of the Jacksonville Jaguars and why they only have 4 first downs. Every possession except for one is a punt. And the only other one is because of halftime game.
Jacksonville has only been in Buccaneers territory one time in the first half. They reached the 37-yard line. And the pitch here to Dunbar. Looking for the first down. He should get it. Just needed to get across the 30. Kenneth Gant, along with Hardy Nickerson, made the stop. Rushing today, the story not good. Dunbar, the leading rusher, with just 17 yards. But we mentioned that Brunell is the leading rusher on this team, and he's got just 2 yards.
Right. I mean, Brunell's numbers, he was averaging 7.1 yards per rush, and they've got him down under a yard today.
Difficult position, though, for Jacksonville. You need more rushing yards, but you don't exactly have plays called rushing for Brunell. He's getting most of his yards, just broken plays.
Yep.
And this is James Stewart, and he's got a good pickup across the 40.
Well, nice job. Nice stutter play. Nice kind of counter OT. You're going to see DeMarco, 73, the rookie tackle, pulling around, leading the block there to seal it off for him. DeMarco at 321 pounds, taking out one of the corner safeties, corners of safety that came up for the support, just crushing them.
There's the mammoth rookie tackle out of Michigan State, the second-round pick. Stewart does pick up the first down, and passing on first down at Pete Mitchell, another first down. This inside the Tampa Bay 25.
Well, they put Mitchell on the right side of your screen. You're going to see him. They're going to throw to him along the sideline there, matched up against number 55, Derek Brooks, and Mitchell just getting a couple of steps on him. But again, Brunell on some of these passes really just amazing us with the accuracy of the throw. Very well put, very well thrown. Kid didn't even get to enjoy the fruits of his labor there.
So Brunell with a big strike to Mitchell, and Jacksonville is the deepest it's been in Tampa territory all game long. Down to the 21-yard line is Dunbar. So without Willie Jackson, perhaps we'll see a lot of Pete Mitchell in the second half.
Well, they're getting a lot of good penetration up front on Tampa Bay's defense. Jacksonville's offense on some of these sprint draws type of plays, they're instead of attacking, they're kind of sidestepping and then making their move into the defensive line. But by that time, Tampa Bay's defense is really attacking and getting some good penetration.
Well, there is the third quarter woes experienced by Jacksonville this season. And they trail it 10-0. Brunell avoiding one tackler on the run. Pump fakes and gets out of bounds at about the 17-yard line, or 18. And Ahanatu was giving chase.
Now they felt pass right from the beginning. You could tell from the way that they were attacking. They were going after Brunell right from the snap.
Well, Jacksonville inside the red zone has been one of the more efficient teams in the NFL, and we've worked up this splendid graphic for you to show you. Well, 3rd and 5. Did you see that splendid graphic, Bob?
Eventually, hopefully.
Help me out here. Brunell under pressure again, avoids 1, 2 tacklers. And this is what Brunell does best. Picks up the first down to the 6. And that, described by Kevin Gilbride, has been the offense for Jacksonville this season. And we talked about
the splendid animation
in the red zone. The Jaguars have been, well, very efficient. In fact, they would run through a brick wall for Coach Tom Coughlin. 16 touchdowns, 26 times.
What would you do that dance?
Inside the red zone.
Would you do that dance for Coughlin?
Oh, the big buildup, and it certainly equaled the buildup. Well, that is Stewart. Stop short inside the 5-yard line. And that'll bring up 2nd down and goal.
Well, they've gotten one out of Brunell what they like to get. He's brought some excitement by making things happen on his own. As you said before, Dan, none of these plays for him are called. They're not telling him to go out there and run the ball. But he's a guy that when he gets in trouble, a more experienced quarterback would probably scramble a little bit and spend a little bit of time trying to find a receiver. Brunell, on the other hand, unless he sees somebody real quick, he's going to go and take the ball himself, get some yardage.
Von Dunbar is the deep back for Brunell. And to give to Dunbar. Nice tackle there by number 93, Demetrius DeVos. We mentioned Jacksonville's efficiency as an offense inside the 20, but the Tampa Bay defense just about as impressive. 2nd in the NFL only to the 49ers. As far as touchdown percentage goes, just 7 opponents' touchdowns all season. Rusty Tillman in his first year as defensive coordinator with Tampa Bay.
Well, this is the matchup we've been looking for then.
3rd and goal from the 4. And Brunell firing to the end zone and almost picked off by Charles Dimry. That'll bring up 4th and goal, and we'll see a field goal try, short one, for Tom Coughlin's team. He wanted the touchdown, and they didn't get it.
Good job by Dimry. Over on the right side of your screen, Dimry's going to be working on Curtis Marsh. Dimry, good position right there, and almost well enough to make the reaction to get the ball. See Mark Brunell after the throw and starting to make that break for the sidelines, thinking Dimry may have made the interception.
So Mike Hollis in for a short field goal attempt of 22 yards. And he bangs it through. And with 7:28 left in the 3rd quarter, Jacksonville is finally on the board, trailing by 7. This touchdown dance indicated by our graphic earlier by Mark Brunell. So they don't come away with 6 points. But they do come away with the 22-yard field goal officially by Hollis, and he kicks off back deep. Ellison and Bobby Joe Edmonds, and Edmonds gets it. And he is caught at the 24 by Corey Mayfield. So Tampa Bay with a 10-3 lead, and Mayfield still talking after the hit. And we'll be right back in a moment.
190-pound train leaves Tampa Bay at 2 o'clock, and a 300-pound train from Jacksonville leaves Jacksonville at 4. What's the payoff? What a hit. 302-pound Corey Mayfield making a big hit.
And what's
Bobby Joe Edmonds.
The old saying we learned from Houston a few weeks ago.
Chuck Cecil.
The hardest hitter in the league, perhaps Chuck Cecil. Sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield. Edmonds was the bug. Tampa Bay begins at the 25. 1st and 10. They have a 10-3 lead. Trent Dilfer has started and has gone the distance in this one so far. In trouble now, trying to weave his way out of it. Does so, maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage. But Kelvin Pritchett chased him down. Pritchett, a 1st-round pick by the Cowboys back in '91 before being traded to Detroit.
Well, we talked about Dilfer before. He really isn't looking for many receivers. This time he's had success with Harper. He looks to Harper right away. He's not open. He finds nobody else, and he's on the run.
2nd and 10. No gain on the scramble by Dilfer. And the give is to Rhett, and he is stopped cold behind the line of scrimmage by Smengi. Smengi, part of a trio of high-priced free agents, which totaled about $20 million, Bob. Lageman, who is out of the game with a foot injury, comes over from the Jets. Got Don Davey, the right tackle. He's in over from Green Bay. And Smengi, who played 5 years with the New Orleans Saints.
Dumas in from Buffalo.
So there are some players on this Jacksonville defense. third down and 10. Dilfer steps up in the pocket, slings it out across the middle, across the 30. And Gilganius put the clamps on Dave Moore, and they're well short of the first down.
Alvin Harper was deep and didn't look like he was covered too closely. But Dilfer really is focusing right in the short stuff, and you watch Harper working up there and just breaks it deep, uncovered. He's got a little space there between the two defenders. If Dilfer can find him, he can pick up some yardage, but he's satisfied at dumping the ball off.
Desmond Howard takes it at the 18, reverses his field. Beautiful move. Gets across the 30 and turns a good Reggie Roby punt into a good return brought down by Derek Brooks. The Buccaneers in front by 7.
Isn't 90s technology marvelous? Look at the Hewlett-Packard Office Jet. A wonderful device allowing father to...
Great athletes from Cleveland St. Joe's. And Bob Golick and Desmond Howard. What a great move. We don't all come out with the same moves.
Only one of whom has won a Heisman, and I don't think there needs to be any more clarification than that.
Yes, let's just drop it, please.
You set it up. Desmond Howard back a little more healthy. He's been inactive a few games with an ankle, returned for the first time in 3 games last week. Jacksonville needs him. 31-yard line getting the call as Stewart spinning his way up close to the 39-yard line. Brought down by Kenneth Gant.
Nice trap right up the middle. Beautifully set up. You're going to see the... I think it was 78 Mislinski. I couldn't get the number, but nice trap blocking right inside, open the middle wide open.
So second down and a couple. But a swift moving third quarter. Under 5 minutes left. Stewart right side, and he'll pick up the first down. So Jacksonville showing some signs of life on offense in the second half. I mentioned the huge offensive line up front by Jacksonville, second largest in the NFL, only behind the Cowboys, but it is the tallest. It averages 6 feet 6 inches, 312 pounds. And the big reason was Ben Coleman, who is inserted into that line. Baselli goes 323, but Coleman goes 335 at 6 feet 6. Brunell stands in behind that big offensive line, and once again he's got Pete Mitchell. Mitchell has turned in a couple of long receptions here in the second half.
And Brunell at 6 foot tall, who normally they feel is too short and can't see over these guys, finds a great viewing lane to drop the ball off to Mitchell.
And that is Ahanatu, slow in getting up.
Well, let's take a look at the play one more time. Mitchell, you're going to see over on the left side of your screen, just breaks at the outside. They're blitzing off of that corner. So the guy that was on Mitchell at the beginning, who was, I believe it was number 29, Kenneth Gant, left him alone, blitzed Brunell, leaving Mitchell enough room to break it open on the sideline.
All-time leading receiver at Boston College. Coughlin was well aware of his talents and picked him up in the trade we described earlier from the Dolphins. So the Jaguars at the 30 with another 1st and 10. 3:46 left in the third. Tampa Bay leads at 10-3. Play action by Brunell, looking downfield, and a nice catch at the 10-yard line by Jimmy Smith. Charles Dimry made the stop, but a flag is down.
And they're signaling holding.
And it may come back.
Holding.
And it will.
79, offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Again, number 79, Dave Weidel. Weidel is a guy in a 4-man line. You're not usually covered, especially when in a pass rush situation. So you're the guy that kind of helps out. You're kind of on an island there. You can turn either way to help out, and a lot of times all offensive linemen do it. Let's put it this way. They all get their hands in there. They all get grabs on the people. And sometimes you just get caught. Sometimes it's a little more obvious than other times.
So bring back the huge Pete Mitchell game and bring it back to the 40-yard line. 1st and 20. That's a big penalty. But Brunell gets some of it back. And guess who? Mitchell. Without Willie Jackson, who's out with a knee injury, Pete Mitchell has turned into the favorite target of Mark Brunell. Martin Mayhew on the big tight end that time.
No, they've got some confidence now. Mitchell's just going to break it to the outside. Brunell's going to hit him in stride before he gets a separation from Derek Brooks. You're going to watch good protection up front. Right there at Baselli, a very nice block. Good leverage on the guy on the outside, but giving Brunell time. Brunell trying to get rid of the ball a little quicker, get rid of it a little quicker. It looks like.
So they get back 10. Mitchell has 3 catches for 51 yards. And right side they send Maston. And Maston is stopped. Santana Dotson involved in a little Tony Baselli skirmish there. Actually, that is 71. Yes, that's Dotson.
Santana standing over the top of Lachey Maston, just kind of taunting him a little bit, and Baselli, regardless of how old he is, or how much experience he has, is going to stand there and say, listen, my teammate, you're not going to stand here and taunt him.
John Robinson called Baselli the best offensive lineman that he's ever coached at USC, and there have been a lot of great ones there.
I say, between Munoz and so many guys that have come out of their offensive line, it's an incredible statement.
Jaguars trying to convert the 3rd down and 9, and they will pick it up. Pete Mitchell, his 4th catch, and he is just racking up big numbers. Clifton Abraham finally brought the big tight end down, but not before another big game.
And it's not like Mitchell's a burner or anything. Again, he's just running the same route, but on the other side. He just comes up the field. He breaks it outside. He gets some separation from the back or on the inside. Brunell takes a little shot at the end of the play, but hey, he'll take that all day long if he can get completions like that.
15-yard gain by Mitchell. Jacksonville at the Buccaneer 15 with another 1st and 10. And stopped immediately in the backfield is Maston. And he'll lose some.
Well, Chidi Hanatu and it looked like Santana Dotson just slashing up inside. They're going for, you line up like that, they read pass, they're just attacking. If they get the good penetration the way they did. 99 Warren Sapp was in there. Great read on Maston. Maston didn't even get a chance to turn his hips, to set his feet, anything to make a break from the line of scrimmage. It was a sit and duck.
So they lost about 5, 2nd down and 15. And Brunell of the air. Pete Mitchell is met at the 15, still on his feet inside the 10. He'll be short of the 1st down, but a great second effort by Mitchell, who just pounded a couple of Buccaneers to stay on his feet. Thomas Everett finally brought him down.
All they did, we were going to see Pete Mitchell, the tight end, right-handed screen, just drag it across underneath the linebackers. The linebackers signaling Hardy Nickerson, saying, hey, he's coming out. But Nickerson not focusing on making the hit. Nickerson comes in to make the tackle and knocks Martin Mayhew off the tackle, giving Mitchell a little bit more of a chance to run.
Jacksonville trails at 10-3, but they're on the move with 19 seconds left in the 3rd. In the early history of Jacksonville, Pete Mitchell, the very first receiver to go over 100 yards for Jacksonville, 108 on 6 catches.
You can see he's breathing rather rapidly. He's become the workhorse. They're putting him in a tight end, and he's working from the tight end position, and they're matching up against linebackers. And he just has the moves and the knowledge of finding those open spots between coverages more so than the wide receivers on the outside.
Look at that graphic. Pretty much a flip-flop of what transpired in the 1st half. Tampa Bay just 6 yards in this 2nd half, and there's only 19 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Remember, that big reception was taken back from Pete Mitchell on the hold by Weidel, and they've gotten it back into position on some big plays from Brunell to Mitchell.
9 seconds remaining. 09.
Gordon McCarter asking the clock to tick down to 9 seconds.
9 9 seconds.
Now there's 17. And, okay.
One more.
9 seconds.
There you go, Gordon.
I like how he left his speaker on the whole time. 9 seconds.
Third down conversion attempt for Jacksonville, just 3 of 9 on the afternoon. They need about 4 yards. Tampa Stadium waking up. And they'll just let the time run out. So the third quarter comes to a close. Jacksonville will head down to the other side of the field to see if they can get in. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Beginning of the fourth quarter in Tampa, the Buccaneers have a 10-3 lead, but Jacksonville trying to tie it. They have third down and 4, ball at the 9-yard line of the Buccaneers. And Brunell will run it in for the touchdown. Brunell getting up a little gingerly, but the Jaguars have their first touchdown.
Now he dropped back. Jimmy Smith was in a pattern on the right-hand side. He looked to him first. When he didn't see him, looked to the middle, covered again with Givens, took it on his own. As I said many times, he is the guy that is going to do that. And as this third quarter progressed, had gotten more confidence, not just in his throwing ability, but in his ability to pick the times when he should best run.
Leading rusher on the team, also leading rusher for touchdowns. Mike Hollis trying to tie it up at 10. And that splits the uprights. Not a lot of offense between the Jaguars and Buccaneers, but shaping up into an interesting game, tied at 10 early in the fourth. The afternoon, about 75 degrees, and a good game tied at 10 as the Jaguars, after trailing 10-0 at halftime, have come back to tie it early in the fourth quarter. Hollis had a 22-yard field goal in third, and Mark Brunell's 9-yard touchdown scamper has tied it at 10, 8 seconds into the fourth.
Well, we saw Brunell get up kind of gingerly after the touchdown, and now we're watching Berline warming up on the sideline, so we'll have to see how that story progresses.
And when they do get on offense, Horace Copeland is doubtful to return. He has a bruised shoulder for Tampa Bay. Now coming up on a short kick from the 24 is Bobby Joe Edmonds, and he's up to the 38. 14-yard kickoff return by Edmonds. The tackle made by McManus.
We see the touchdown one more time. Brunell looking to Smith to the right, looks to Givens covered in the middle, makes the break, takes it on his own, gives a little pump fake to try and hold the defenders back in their coverage. Just makes it in, but takes a shot there, and it looked like he did his little hook slide into the end zone, but it might have twisted his hip. Looks like he's kind of working on his hip on the side over there a little bit.
There is Berline, the backup to Brunell. Of course, he was the starter in the preseason before Brunell was looked so effective and was inserted into the starting lineup. Dilfer, the quarterback for Tampa Bay, with a drop on first down, and this one is dropped right in front of him. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if anybody got a hand on it, but Tampa Bay does recover.
Well, it looked like he had a kind of a pump fake, and as he did the pump fake, he wasn't able to get his hand back, and the ball just slips out of his hands. That's exactly what it was. It's just an incomplete pass. Well, the fans are very quick to respond to anything that Trent Dilfer does.
You made an interesting point earlier, Bob. As Trent pointed out, this is just my 13th start. He says, I can't wait until I get up to the 30, 31, 32 starts like Rick Meyer and Drew Bledsoe.
Right.
Still early in his NFL starting career as Eric Rett gets the call.
But you also have to wonder, or perhaps question why, or putting in these young quarterbacks and putting so much responsibility on them so soon. You see a guy like Meyer in Seattle, Bledsoe in New England. All these guys have had some early success when people didn't understand them, didn't know what to expect, and but as they figured them out, it became much more difficult and a lot of pressure. And you're wondering what kind of damage to the psyche of these young quarterbacks are they facing by being thrown against this top-notch defenses right away.
Well, you saw Mark Brunell, a hamstring injury, and he will not return. So Berline will be the quarterback for Jacksonville. Dilfer with a rare scramble for the first down. It looked a little Brunell-esque.
Well, he's just not having any luck finding open receivers, and believe me, there are some open receivers, but in the past and early in this game, he's had openings to run and just hasn't taken them. Now he's decided that he's going to have to make some moves on his own to pick up some yardage. Once again, just kind of weaving his way through the defenders. Nice little juke there. But as Brunell found out, when you start to dive, you slide feet first. That's something Trent Dilfer will pick up very quickly, too.
Squarely at midfield for Tampa Bay. And Eric Rett just maybe a yard, and that is all. That'll bring up second down and a long 9. Gogenius with the tackle.
Number 92, Don Davey, though, good penetration to get into the backfield just as he's making his cut. And then Gogenius coming up and finishing it off the play. Good penetration by that front, especially Davey. Davey all day long has really been a guy that's been slashing into the offensive front of the Buccaneers.
Dilfer fakes, wide open on the far sideline is Dawsey. And Dawsey has the first down. Vinnie Clark on the coverage.
And Dawsey was wide open for a little while. It was the defensive backs, the coverage were starting to close in on him. And Dilfer finally got a look at where he was. You see Dawsey's going to be over to the right out there by the yard marker, standing all by himself. Nice route, it had to be a break in the coverage.
Third round pick out of Florida State in '91, led the Buccaneers in receiving last year despite missing 6 games. Jackie Harris has taken over the leading receiver role, but he is out in this game. Near side, Harper, who had a big first half, falls in another one. Mickey Washington wraps him up out of bounds.
Well, this is what they said they're going to do early in the game, and now maybe they've got to go back to it. They've got to find a way to get Trent Dilfer some confidence, because he certainly doesn't have it to this point. The little short passes right here, the little dump to Harper, some things that you know are going to have a higher percentage of completion, and is going to give the quarterback the confidence.
Last year, his 24.5 yards per catch average was the best in the NFL. Second down and short, 2 yards for Dilfer. And Rett will pick it up. He's inside the 20. First down for Tampa Bay. And Rett inching closer to another 100-yard gain. Don Davey on the stop.
Well, they say when you run the ball, who do you like to run behind? He said Ian Beckles, and that's exactly who he ran over. Beckles at 6'1", 304 pounds. He said, we asked him why. He goes, hey, he's big, he's low to the ground, he's powerful, he just drives people out of there. And that's exactly what they did that time, went right behind Beckles.
And Rett again, left side, inside the 15, pounds his way inside the 10. Close to another first down. Don't believe he got it. Gogenius very active again on the stop for Jacksonville.
Good job by Rett, and again a good block by Dave Moore, number 83. You're going to see come in motion, and he's going to wall Smengi out to the outside, giving Rett that little alley to cut back up inside. Dave Moore, as we said before, plays a fullback, plays a tight end. but really is an exceptional blocker and has done a great job today.
2nd down and 2, and he's right in front of Rhett. Dilfer says, over there. An audible. Dilfer at the line of scrimmage. That is Dawsey to the near side, and they just get the play off. Rhett takes it up the middle, and he's got the first down close to the 5-yard line. 1st and goal for Tampa Bay, and a very impressive drive.
Well, Jim Pine left the left offensive guard, fired off, got down into Davies' feet, keeping him kind of bowed that the defensive line, gave Rhett a nice little area to pop his way through.
9:20 and counting left in the game. Tampa Bay and Jacksonville tied at 10. The Buccaneers have not scored since the 2nd quarter. Close to another score here. And Rhett stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Brian Schwartz, the rookie out of Augustana, making the stop, and they are very impressed with him, especially against the run up front.
Right, he's a big run stopper. You know, they've really had to make some moves over there. I mean, we watched them last week. They lose Santos Stevens, so he's out, who is a regular outside linebacker on the left side. Mark Williams is a backup. They lose him today to injury. Keith Goganius had been playing the middle. They moved him over to outside backer to give them some help out there, giving Schwartz the middle linebacker position. So they've really had to bounce some guys around, but the one consistency they like in the run game is Schwartz.
Well, that is Ernie Logan, who is down. And remember, Jeff Lageman is a foot injury, and he is out. We'll be right back.
Deep dish pizza, because when it's gotta be deep, it's gotta be Domino's.
Injuries beginning to mount up for Jacksonville. That is Ernie Logan being helped off the field. And that is Willie Jackson, who we told earlier, out with a knee injury. He's a starting wide receiver, the leading receiver. The starting quarterback is lost. Mark Brunell out with a hip injury. And there is Mark Williams. He is the starting linebacker. Dislocated shoulder. He's gone. So Jacksonville really undermanned, depleted by the injuries as Tampa Bay tries to put the finishing touches on this drive. Dilfer with a fake pass right. Rhett trying to weave his way in. Rhett's 2nd touchdown of the day, and Coughlin not happy about it at all. Pretty good call, Bob.
Pretty good call. You know, first of all, you're losing a guy up front to an injury. And, you know, so you're getting new people in. As you see the little pump fake, almost kind of the old Statue of Liberty almost. A little pump fake, gives it to Red, who bounces it back to the outside. But you lose a guy to injury up front. You've lost a couple of guys. You've got some different people playing on the front line. They're not into the flow of the game, the rhythm of the game. You can hit them with a trick play like that.
Husted drives it through. And with 8:11 left in the game, Tampa Bay pulls ahead to a 17-10 lead. Has taken a lot of heat this week. We mentioned earlier that morning headline in a local paper today talking about perhaps if Sam Weiss will be around after the season. The owner, Malcolm Glazer, is saying that there'll be no changes made during the season, but you're at home against an expansion team. That's pretty much a must-win, especially for an embattled coach. As Jacksonville brings it out across the 22-yard line. That was Curtis Marsh. Kenneth Gant makes the stop for Tampa Bay.
So this was a good call for Sam Weiss, and catching them kind of flat-footed. You're going to see Dilfer with the little pump fake. Statue of Liberty back around the other side. Gruber pulling out, make a nice block on Schmengi. Eric Rhett right into the end zone untouched. And you can see Coughlin expected a little bit more out of his defense than what they got on that play.
So a new quarterback. It is Steve Berline in place of the injured Mark Brunell, and he's on the mark right away to the favorite receiver of the Jaguars today, Pete Mitchell.
Well, that's one of the things that happened in this preseason, coming in and during the early part of the season. It was Berline It was Brunell. It was Berline. It was Brunell. It was one of these situations where we said early in the season, hey, regardless of who you choose, you have to pick one. You've got a young team that's trying to develop a chemistry and kind of formulate that chemistry around one guy, around one leader, and you're not letting it happen. Of course, we didn't say that to Tom, but we kind of said it amongst ourselves.
Well, if anything else can go wrong, Bob, Pete Mitchell is down on the Tampa Bay sideline.
Well, he's kind of been taken, and see the Tampa Bay Buccaneer people are waving their team to the sidelines there, but he has been taking a beating. I mean, they've really been keying on him. He's been the guy that's the go-to guy, catching a lot of passes, but when you catch the passes, especially underneath, you're starting to take a lot of big hits from safeties flying up and from the linebackers.
Well, that is good news already without Willie Jackson, the leading receiver. Pete Mitchell, who's over 100 yards today, first time in Jaguar history. Not that it's a long history, but there are the numbers for Pete Mitchell. And Steve Berline taking over for Mark Brunell. 3 starts for Berline, lost the job versus Pittsburgh, and then really hasn't played since the Houston game on October 11th. He was the first pick in the expansion draft from the Cardinals. Started all preseason, was the starter going in before Brunell took over the job. But Brunell is done for the day, and it's up to Berline to try to bring back the Jaguars, who trail it by 7 with 7.5 minutes to go. And they give to Dunbar, and Dunbar with a good aggressive run up to the 40-yard line, brought down by Wardell Rouse.
And did you see Berline right away? It shows his experience as a quarterback, having spent time with the Raiders, with the Cardinals. He gets up to the line of scrimmage on his second play, and he's making audible calls. He's seeing something in the defense, making changes at the line, and opens up a nice play off the left tackle.
Second down and 4 for Berline. He'll go to the air again. This one deflect with the line of scrimmage, but caught by Maston. That was a Hanatu, I believe, who tipped the pass at the line of scrimmage, and it was up for grabs before Maston got the ball.
Yeah, Maston was not very far from Hanatu. I mean, right in front of him. Hanatu making a nice tap, but Maston getting the ball. I don't know if he wanted to catch the ball with all those guys around him, but good awareness at knowing where the ball is and going up and getting it, and not allowing the defenders to get it.
So with all the injuries they've had all game long, finally Jacksonville blessed with a little bit of luck there, but still third down and 5 because that pass was up for grabs. And Berline being pressured from the left side, and will stop the play. A flag has just been thrown at the 35. And Jacksonville did not get the playoff. And another costly penalty for Tom Coughlin.
You know, Tom's we talked to him yesterday, and his thing is, you got a lot of young guys who are just trying to develop some kind of a chemistry. You got older guys who are trying to fit themselves in a new system, and a lot of times you're just not in sync, regardless of what kind of talent you have. You just haven't time to put yourself in sync as a team.
3rd and 10 from the 34. And Berline over the head of Ernest Givens, incomplete. Will bring up 4th down and a punting unit for Jacksonville. So Berline's first series will end with a punt.
Yeah, he had to lay it up there, and he had to put it out kind of out of his reach and hope that Givens could get it, because Magruder was right on with the coverage, right there to make the play. He put it up about the only place he could put it for Givens, and hope that Givens' talent and ability would be able to get him up and get it.
5.5 minutes left, and you can bet Tampa Bay will go to the run game on this series, take some time off the clock, and try to milk it down with a 7-point lead. will mark this out of bounds just across the 30-yard line. We'll be right back. Great movies coming up on NBC, not starring Sean Bowens in the split screen. Home Alone, The Mighty Ducks, Dennis the Menace, and Jurassic Park. Home Alone's Friday night, Mighty Ducks Saturday night, Dennis the Menace Saturday night. Sunday night, the mega hit Jurassic Park. You get the message. It's a great Thanksgiving extravaganza.
I think Bowens would have fit into Jurassic Park, though. He kind of had that. That's a guy I would have hung with when I was playing.
Anyway, there's 4 great movies on Thanksgiving Day weekend on NBC. Tampa Bay trying to eat some clock. Eric Rett to the 35-yard line. See if we can get an up. That should take Eric Rett close to the 100-yard mark. So it appears he will have the second 100-yard game of this season and the third of his career. We're still waiting for the official yardage for Eric Rett. And we just got it, and he's got 100 yards. Second down and 8 for Tampa Bay. And Bobby Joe Edmonds with the call. You saw him earlier. Well, Eric Rett had the 144-yard day last week, second best of his career. And he's got 100 today. And he's also got the 2 touchdowns for Tampa Bay. 7th 100-yard rushing game of his career. You might remember that he ended the season last year with a string of 100-yard games. And always in jeopardy is the 125-yard mark, which means $1,000 to each of his offensive linemen. So we'll be tracking that the rest of this game. Dilfer's pass leaped over the arms of Dave Moore. And that'll bring up 4th down. Not what you wanted to do if you're Tampa Bay. Jacksonville's got plenty of time to take a march here with 4:05 left.
You're right. And again, he's unchallenged on the bootleg here. Just has to put a nice touch on the ball to get it up to Moore and can't do it. Once again, he's just, he's trying a little bit too hard. All his shots, all his balls are coming a little bit high when he has to put some finesse on them.
Reggie Roby playing it away to Desmond Howard, and they're going to pin Jacksonville back deep at the 4-yard line. Maybe Desmond should have fielded that if he had another shot.
You see Curtis Buckley downs it out of bounds and then just pulls it back inbounds, sets it on about the 1.5-yard line, goes, okay, right here's good. Right here's good.
Had a low trajectory on it. It appeared that Howard had some time to grab that. 56-yard punt by Roby. So just under 4 minutes left. Jacksonville trailing 17-10. They're trying to break a 2-game losing streak. Tampa Bay trying to break a 3-game losing streak. It is the battle between North and Central Florida. Bob Golick on the line. And Berline's pass caught at the 16-yard line by Ernest Givens. Good concentration by the former Oiler to haul it in. It was tipped.
And Magruder played well. Magruder got in there and got his hand on it. Berline throws a pretty hard ball, though. Look at that, Magruder, nice play, good reaction. Good reaction for Givens. Again, we talk about his experience in the past, having worked, caught a lot of different times. Here you see Berline not real happy with the throw. Knows he kind of threw it into a potentially dangerous situation had there been an interception there, but Givens saving the day.
And on the ground, Maston, left side, short of the 20. Ernest Givens trying to put on a big show for the fans he has in the stands. More than 65 family and friends showed up here in Tampa today. Ernest, we're going to high school here in the Bay Area.
And, you know, they've talked about this, saying, boy, what a great intrastate rivalry that they have here. You know, and they're going, you know, they're going to have this going on for a number of years. But the reality is, because they're in different conferences, they're probably not going to hook up again until, I think, like 97, 98. And it's a shame because the proximity of the two cities and the relationship of the two cities, you'd think that they could eventually establish the type of relationship that you used to see with a Cleveland-Pittsburgh.
Well, Thanksgiving Day at the special time of 3:30 Eastern Time. Join the NFL on NBC. When the Chiefs battle the Cowboys, this is really shaping up to be one of the best games of the year, if not the best of the year. You've got Ditka, Gibbs, along with Gumbel and Rashad as the hosts. They preview the big game. We'll also speak with a couple of Smiths. Dallas's Emmett and Kansas City's Neal. That's 3:30 Eastern Time. Thanksgiving Day. Jacksonville trying to come back from a 7-point deficit. Burline with time. Now he runs out of it. And down he goes at the 19. Todrick McIntosh with his second sack of the season. 7th round pick by Dallas last year, paying dividends for Tampa Bay today.
Good rush up front. You see Todrick coming around their outside. See Ahanotu come in, but Todrick McIntosh around the outside took it way deep coming back from the outside. And Kaufman obviously very upset. But the reality was all the receivers were in deep, deep routes. Burline had to sit there and wait and wait and wait for these guys to break it open.
3rd and 7. Burline's got the first down, and it's Pete Mitchell. Mitchell well over 100 yards today. He's had every key reception for Jacksonville. Thomas Everett finally knocked him out of bounds, but he's all the way up to the 41.
Boy, they got lucky here. Watch 67, the right guard holding, pulling him down there, and they don't catch it with the completion to Mitchell. Again, it would have been, had they seen that hold, once again it would have been Pete Mitchell, a big pass called back.
.223 left. Jacksonville has 2 of its timeouts left. Burline in relief of Brunel has another completion. Ernest Gibbons has another first down for Jacksonville, and he's at the Tampa Bay 45. Mike Magruder on the stop as we approach the 2-minute warning. Time still ticking off as we do hit the 2-minute warning before Jacksonville's able to get another playoff. They trail by 7. Comes an NBC movie event, Dead by Sunset. Ken Olin stars in this world premiere movie based on a shocking true story. Parental discretion is advised. Jacksonville trying to stay alive at the 2-minute warning. Trailing Tampa Bay 17-10. Steve Burline has been playing since the beginning of the 4th quarter for the injured Mark Brunel and trying to engineer this comeback. From the shotgun, complete. And that is Jimmy Smith and another Jacksonville first down. Martin Mayhew on the stop.
Good play. You can see over to the right-hand side. He had Gibbons short, drawing up number 21's coverage, Magruder's coverage, and being able to get the ball into Smith right behind him before the safety can come over and make the play.
Pete Mitchell has 8 catches for 140 yards. I guess Tom Kaufman knew a little bit of something about him at Boston College. He has had a huge day. Jacksonville with a 1st and 10 inside the 30. Burline scrambling, and he's got another man, and it's Mitchell at the 21. Short of the first down, but add more yards to Pete Mitchell's totals.
And we talked about Mitchell before and really having a knack in the whole beginning of this game at finding nice open zones, opening up underneath, and right there in the scramble, once again, he finds an open spot to fall into.
2nd down and short. Burline with plenty of time. Now he's got to get rid of it, but not in time. He gets sacked. And Coughlin, calling a timeout, stops it with 1:14. Ahanitu in for his second sack of the day.
Well, it's good awareness for a quarterback when he's being pressured from the outside to step up in the pocket. You know, and that shows good poise, and that shows good awareness of being able to control. You're going to see him here step up. But you got to remember is that the guys that you stepped up in front of are still coming from behind. And they want you bad because you made them look bad at the beginning. So Berline gets tracked down from the backside, and you just can't stand back there that long.
There is a God.
And his name
Cheaty.
And we told the story why he was named Cheaty, because he was the second boy born to his father, and his father was so excited that there was another boy born in the family that they said, hey, there is a God, that there was 2 boys born to my family.
That's what it means in Nigerian. And so the Jags faced with a 3rd and 3. They have 1 timeout left, 1:14 left. And Berline has been perfect on this drive. There's Brunell watching from the sidelines, hurt on the touchdown run. Berline's pass deflected before it had a chance to get to Jimmy Smith. Hardy Nickerson got a paw on it, and that'll bring up 4th down and the play of the game.
Well, that was just right place, right time for Hardy Nickerson to drop back into his zone, and I guess Berline just didn't see him fading into that zone as he tried to rifle the ball into Jimmy Smith.
They need 3 yards.
This is the play.
And they get the first down. That is Desmond Howard. Clock ticking under a minute.
Well, Mayhew was working against Howard. Howard beat him to the inside. Mayhew got up, complaining to the referee. I think he's thinking that Desmond Howard may have pushed off.
1st and 10 from the 12. This time, Berline to the end zone. Touchdown, Pete Smith. Pete Mitchell with a touchdown for Jacksonville.
And who better to go to?
Nine catches, 152 yards for Mitchell. None bigger than that strike. And now Mike Hollis will come on to try to tie it up. How impressive has Berline been?
Well, looks like the Buccaneers are calling a timeout. Well, let's take a look at the touchdown one more time. The person who really has been so instrumental to the Jacksonville Jaguars this whole game, Pete Mitchell, just making a move right over the middle versus Clifton Abraham, of no less, the defensive back, just finding a nice little opening. Tom Coughlin very excited. Berline.
Steve Berline lost his job to Mark Brunell earlier, but he's turning out into the big hero here along with Pete Mitchell.
Well, Berline's back in. It looks like they might be going for 2 points.
What do you think of this call, Bob?
Well,
don't you kick it?
You know what? You're an expansion team. You're not expected to win many games.
On the road.
On the road.
Okay.
You know what? Give it to Coughlin. Give him the benefit of the doubt here. Hey, gutsy move. You're fighting in tough with a team that is still a playoff contender. Let's see how it goes.
Very gutsy move by Jacksonville. And did they get it? No. Jimmy Smith was out of bounds. He made a nice catch, but the two-point conversion fails, and it appears the Jaguar rally will. That was Berline looking up at the diamond vision to get another look. Here's another look.
Well, good coverage on Smith. He's going to see the ball. He had to throw it hard because the coverage was closing quickly, but
got to get two down.
Yeah, you see not even the first foot came down.
Yep.
Coughlin just despondent and knows that they have a chance for that win. And Steve Berline, I mean, he knows he felt that the coverage collapsing. He had to dump it in there quick. Unfortunately, led just a little bit too much. Good job by Steve Berline, though, on that drive. I know he could care less about any of the plays that happened before that one, though, right now.
So the call by Coughlin, gutsy, but backfiring. They don't get it. And with 37 seconds left and with one timeout,
Tampa Bay will bring out their hands team, and Jacksonville will try an onside kick it.
There's the offensive coordinator, Kevin Gilbride, talking with Berline. Marvelous performance by him. Sits on the bench all game long. Hasn't played in several games. Comes in the fourth quarter and was just about perfect through the air.
You know what, Dan? I watched him during the game, too, because I've known Steve for a number of years. We were roommates back with the Raiders. And the entire game, he kept going to Brunell, kept working with him. And I know that early on he was very disappointed in the fact that Brunell had replaced him as a starter. But Steve, being a professional that he is, stepped in and really said, you know what, I'm going to help this kid out.
Well, Tampa Bay has just called a timeout, each team with one left. And the game summary, we look at Eric Rett, who's got the 100 yards and a couple of touchdowns for Tampa Bay. Brunell with a hamstring injury early in the fourth quarter on his 9-yard touchdown run. Pete Mitchell, 152 yards in receiving. And the one big touchdown there that gave the Jaguars a chance to win it. But then they went for two, missed it, and that's where we stand at 17-16 Tampa Bay. The standings coming in to today, and we can tell you that Detroit is beating Chicago. Actually, that is a final 24-17. So Detroit is now 5-6. Green Bay has beaten Cleveland by a final of 31-20. So Green Bay will have first place in the NFC Central.
Tampa will now be tied with Chicago
at 6-5. So the Buccaneers looking like they're going to snap a 3-game losing streak. There's been some wild games this year. This is not over yet, as Hollis will attempt the onside kick for the Jaguars. Bounces it up. Ball is loose. Still loose. And Jacksonville has it. Unbelievable. Coughlin will get another chance. It looked like Dave Thomas recovered it for Jacksonville. Believe this.
Well, one of the hands guys for Tampa Bay came up quickly to make to attack the ball as it came in. You're going to say, I think it's the third guy from the outside, second guy from the outside, comes in, and the ball ricochets off of him right into the hands. Right. Clemson Abraham was the one that the ball ricocheted off of, right into the hands of Dave Thomas.
So Jacksonville with some life and one timeout. They're at their own 42-yard line. 36 seconds left, trailing 17-16. And Berline is picked off. Martin Mayhew.
Well, Steve Berline knows he shouldn't have thrown that one. Mayhew was planted. He was planted right there. On the right side of your screen, Berline searching the field, goes to the last receiver he finds, and And Mayhew really had beautiful position. I can't believe that Steve didn't see that. I'm sure that as the ball was leaving his fingertips, he realized that Mayhew was going to be a major threat. As we see the reaction of despair in Steve Berline's face.
Third interception of the season for Mayhew, and it's really a shame. Berline had played so well, rallying Jacksonville back. They missed the two-point conversion. They get the onside kick back. They've got another opportunity, and Mayhew picks it off, and that'll be the final play of the game as Tampa Bay and Sam Weish improved to 6-5. Another disappointing loss for Tom Coughlin and the Jaguars. They lose their third straight and fall to 3-8. And we will have some final words here from Tampa Stadium in a moment as the Buccaneers win it